Hey crafty friends, it's Chelsea. I have a little bit of a different video for you today. I'm going to do a layout share. I'm getting ready to put all of my 2019 layouts into an album. So usually what I do is I save up all my layouts in an iris container from Michaels, and then I put them all into my postbound album at one time. It's a little bit easier that way. And I think I've made pretty much all I want to for 2019, so that's what I'm going to do now. A lot of these layouts are close to my heart workshops because I make them every month with my VIP group. That's a lot of what my scrapbook pages are. I probably have a few that I've done for videos or for other projects, but mostly it's the workshops. And now I'm really bad at remembering names of collections, so forgive me if I can't list them all off. These are a couple years old at this point, but I hope that you can find some inspiration in these pages. So here's the first one. This is from the Spruced Up collection. I remember that because I loved this collection. And the new workshops have a lot of die cuts. So like all these shapes, this background, these trees, all of that came die cut already in the kit, which makes it really easy to put together. Most of my layouts now, I try and keep them fairly flat. So when I'm adding dimension, I use the thin pop dots or foam tape. The kind of wood veneer pieces are probably the most dimensional thing that I have in my layouts anymore. I used to make really dimensional pages, but then I found when I put them into my album, they were super wonky. They made all my layouts kind of wrinkle, and I really didn't like that. So I try and stay fairly flat these days. I also have texture paste here on these little snowbanks. So really cute winter layout. And I had more pictures from this day out. So I just used a Pocket Plus. I love Pocket Plus. Between this and Flip Flaps, that is what I use the most to add extra journaling, extra photos. So this is going to sit in the album right in between these two pages. And I did use the coordinating pocket cards just to help it tie in to this layout. Next up, we have a Sweet Safari layout. This one is from our incentive trip. It was a cruise. We stopped in Belize, and this is such a fun kit. All of these strips were pre-cut, so all you had to do is stick them together. I love this kit and all the cute little characters. Super easy and fun to put together. And then there's also, if you can see the shine that's on here, that is splatter from the Ranger gloss sprays. And it just adds, I don't know if you can see, it adds a little bit of shine. Next up, we have a fun birthday layout. This has a lot of really big die cuts on it. Really big title, this big cake, and then the banners that are in the background. Everything's kind of like large and oversized, and the pictures are quite small. So that's a little bit different than my usual style. I would usually go bigger photos, smaller embellishments. And this one does have some more dimension because it has acrylic pieces that were colored on the back with alcohol marker. So those acrylic pieces stand up a little bit higher. And then also for these little clothespins, those are acrylic with paper laid over the top. But I like the concept of holding the pictures onto a little banner like that. All right, this layout of our sweet little Frankie boy, I can't even tell you how many pictures I have of him, scrapbooked and not scrapbooked. I cut a paw stencil off the Cricut, and that's the inking that you see in the background. And I just used the coordinating ink color to add it a little bit more subtly rather than using something contrasting, but it still stands out really nice on this subtle pattern paper. I believe this was actually from a kit that was themed around dinosaurs, but a lot of the patterns were neutral enough. Like you can see this pattern here had like little dinosaur prints, but once you get it put together, you don't really see that. There's the odd little dinosaur on this pattern here, but nothing crazy. So I love how this page turned out with the little paw prints scattered all around it. Here's a little bit different take on an Easter layout. So this was actually from a very like vintagey heritage sort of kit. And I made it work for Easter. This was before Isabella's time, so Easter consisted of us giving each other Easter treats and Frankie getting new toys. So, you know, there wasn't anything really too bright about it, and I thought it would go really nice with this collection. I colored this little stamped bunny and cut it out. I believe I just used pencil crayons for that. And I did stamping here in the corners, and then there's some stamping along the cardstock here and stamping here. And then some glitter paper along the bottom. You can also use shimmer trim. This is a Cricut cut from one of the Close to My Heart collections. And these borders are also from the Cricut. And more stamping. This is stamped as well. So a really like soft vintage color palette for Easter, but I like how it turned out. Now, if you guys are looking for videos, probably on most of these, you're not going to find any. I haven't been doing videos that long, and some of these are like class projects and things that I do like in private groups. So this is kind of the only place you're probably going to see them unless there's photos of them on my social media. So this was part of a class, and I did it for my grandma's birthday, as the pictures I end up using in here. I used a thin cut under here. And then these are all Cricut cuts, all these pieces. I have some gold foil paper that I Cricut cut, gold glitter, and then I did a shadow with black cardstock on the title. A little dragonfly here, stamped and die cut. This cardstock in the back here, I actually stamped with a script stamp to get that on there. And this paper is actually from the Urban pack, I think. It's quite old, and it was kind of meant to be more like boyish, but I definitely switched it, made it up girly with all my flowers like I usually like to do. And definitely took it in a different direction than probably what it was designed for. All right, so these pages were actually designed to be one-page layouts, but like I said, most of the time I do double-page layouts. So I did run this rainbow strip along the top to kind of tie it together. I mean, the papers all coordinate, so it's not a different color palette. But of course, I had more pictures. Yes, this is our dog's first birthday. And we celebrated in style. So what I did is I used one of the Pocket Plus in the 3x4s, the vertical 3x4s, and used like a bunch of the cards and a whole bunch more photos. Hopefully the glare is not too bad. Sorry if it's kind of reflecting back at you. But once this goes into my album, it's going to look like that. So it's going to kind of break up the difference in the two pages. And since it all coordinates, it'll actually look really good together. I'll just show you one page at a time here. So this one was from a kit. And so these die cut pieces were already done. And I know it was supposed to look a little bit different than this. I had cut some other circles with the scallop circle thin cut in the coordinating colors and just tucked them in there. I don't remember what it was supposed to look like, but that's how it ended up looking. And then these acrylic stars, again, are colored with alcohol markers just to add a little bit of a tint to them. It's a very soft color. And then I just use liquid glass to stick those down. So that's the one page. And then this page here, these stars are actually little shakers with vellum over top. And so there's sequins that are in there. I like the way it looks. Shakers on scrapbook pages for me are kind of like, well, they're not going to really shake because I don't usually take my huge albums and shake them up and down. But I do like how they look, and I think it turned out really cute. He's trying to take off his little party hat there. Now, keeping with the bright birthday theme, this is the layout I created using texture paste. So I used Distress Oxide inks and white texture paste to get these colors, and I just mixed them together. So I will hold this up a little bit closer and maybe you can see the texture. I like coloring my texture paste with ink because then it doesn't change the consistency of it. It doesn't make it all runny and it goes through a stencil still pretty good. And then I use the gloss sprays to add a little bit of splatter and fill in some of the white area. I love using white for my backgrounds, but sometimes it needs that little flecks of color to kind of tie everything together. So I usually do a fair bit of splatter. It's one of my favorite techniques to kind of fill in areas. And yeah, I got lots of photos in there. It's definitely a photo heavy layout, minimal on the embellishments. Another bright and fun summery layout. This was also from a kit. So I love how all these little photos are kind of running across the bottom with the little sayings that go over top. And then of course the 3 clusters of embellishments with the yellow circles really ties everything together. And you can see more splatter in the background. This one I believe was from, yes, it's from a black shimmer brush. So it has a little bit of a silver sparkle to that splatter as well. And then this yellow here is actually a resist. So there's a nice shine that comes off of that. And the stickers also have some of that shine with the UV coating on them. So there's some nice subtle details on this layout. This one was a cut above layout. So everything, like the background here is pre-printed, and then the clouds and the title and everything are either stickers or die cuts. These houses are die cuts. Some of them, I don't know if you can tell, some of them are popped up just with the thin foam tape. So it doesn't give them a huge bit of dimension, but just a little difference between the houses. And I love how there's still a lot of room for photos and a lot of room for journaling on this layout without it looking too overcrowded. If you've never used any of the cut above layouts before, they're super fast to put together. That's what our subscription is. So everything comes pre-printed, stickers, die cuts. You don't need a paper trimmer. You don't need to be an experienced scrapbooker. You don't need to be someone who has tons of time. You can just put them all together, or you can switch them up and add things to them as well. If you guys make double page layouts, do you ever have that problem where when you go to put them down, you can't remember which was the left page and which was the right page? I was just playing with this and I'm like, well, it could be this way, but I think if I remember correctly, it was this way. That's what happens when you wait a couple years to put things in your albums. It's hard to remember. I believe this collection was called Blue Skies. This is the same collection that I used on the last couple of layouts. And this was also part of a kit. And I think I made it pretty true to what it was supposed to be. I have more of that splatter in there. You can see some of that resist cardstock on this one too. And this was just our Canada Day celebrations down at the lake. Nice, fun, bright, summery layouts, not too difficult. I like that with the kits, things like this are already pre-cut. They're just die cuts that you pop out. I would hate to have to cut all of those things myself. Of course, you can on the Cricut, right? But things like that just saves you time. Now, I don't know if you guys can tell, I've kind of been moving through the year. The order in which I'm showing you guys is actually the order these are going into my album. I usually try and put my layouts in chronologically, even though I don't make them chronologically. This layout and a couple more are all from the same trip to the mountains, all using the same collection. I love this collection. Just so happened I had the perfect photos to go with it. I like this design of having just little squares of paper and little square photos. This is actually a design. Now I'm looking at it. I need to use that again because I really like how that looks. You can definitely go back over pages you've made, whether they're kits or your own designs, and reuse those designs on your future pages so you're not always starting from scratch, right? So I definitely need to make a note to use this design again. So what is funny is that this is a very outdoor focused collection, but not all these layouts are outdoor focused. We were there in the mountains for a conference, so I scrapbooked some pictures about that as well and did a little bit of journaling. We're not super outdoorsy people anymore. We used to go camping. We prefer now to like go away somewhere warm and have that kind of holiday. So we don't really do much camping or hiking or anything like that. So I'm really glad I had these photos because it worked out perfectly for this paper. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have had a lot to scrapbook on this beautiful outdoorsy kind of paper. But as you can see here, these are not super outdoorsy pictures, but they still work. Okay, this next one is a little bit different for me. I don't do a whole lot of pocket pages anymore. I usually use the Pocket Plus, or I use the flip flaps if I want to get more photos into my layouts. But this one, the kit had a one-page layout. I love these little half diamonds, kind of like two different patterns to make up a diamond. And then I took one of my favorite photos from out at the mountains to kind of be my focal point for this layout. And then I knew I would want a companion page since this wasn't going at the beginning of my album. I thought I would do a pocket page with kind of the remaining outdoor photos. You can see here I've actually stamped right on my photo. I don't do that super often, but I do enjoy it when I think to do it. You just have to be careful and use something like StazOn that is going to dry really well on a slick surface. So I have little bits of journaling, some of the stickers, pretty simple. And then what always gets me is usually I would just put that straight into my album and leave the backside without anything. But I was thinking ahead, and I had a piece left over from this collection. I liked it. It had the little mountains, so I just chopped it up and put it in here. I'm pretty sure I saw someone else do this, and I was like, that's genius. Rather than trying to find something to put on the backside, if I needed an extra page in this album, I could always take out those pieces and put photos in and scrapbook this page. But if not, this is complete enough. And hey, what better way to showcase a piece of paper that you like? Maybe that's a good idea. If you have paper that you're hoarding, you could chop it up, put it into a pocket page like this, and then you can just admire that paper in your album. Okay, here is another layout with that blue skies. I don't worry about matching layouts being like back to back in my album. I spread them out however I want. Sometimes they go into separate years. Just depends what I'm scrapbooking at the time and where it falls chronologically into my album. So I love how these icons are scattered across. You have these cute little hot air balloons, and they kind of make their way all the way across the page with the little clouds. This is a really fun way to layer up a title and just kind of let it take up the bottom portion of your page. It's a really fun design. And then here is the title over here. Just a great way to showcase, you know, any kind of summer photos. And there's enough room for your photos. They're nice big sizes, but there's also enough room to have fun with design and different embellishments. Here is another cut above layout. So this whole rainbow and all this splatter is right on the page. It was already pre-printed. The clouds here are die cuts or stickers, and same with the sun. And this cloud over here, this one I put up with a thin foam tape. And then all these are stickers. These hearts are also die cuts and stickers. What's really fun is all the splatter is printed, so you don't need to worry about it warping your page at all. It keeps everything really nice and flat. And oh my gosh, just look at that face. So cute. Could definitely do any kind of theme you wanted on these pages. But I love how thin these are. They definitely are not going to add a bunch of bulk to my album. Man, you guys, I did not count these layouts up before I started, and there is way more than I thought there was going to be. So this might turn out to be a very long video. This collection that I used on here was actually like a crafty collection, but I just used it for some really cute summertime photos of my nieces. Over here, I used thin cuts. These are flower and leaf thin cuts that I cut from the pattern papers. This is stamped. The splatter is stamped in the background. My title is actually a Cricut cut, and then I covered it with liquid glass. So you should be able to see that nice shine on there. And then for the little speech bubbles, I cut those out on the Cricut as well and sponged the edges with pigment ink and stamped in white pigment ink as well. And it added a really nice little pop with that white and black against all this color. I also did some hand stitching, definitely not perfect hand stitching. I like the look, but I get very impatient when I'm doing it. So sometimes it turns out a little bit wonkier than I would like because I get halfway done and I'm like, okay, I'm done with this. I don't want to do this anymore. But I love how these clusters turned out with that splatter stamp in the background. And then this was just die cut with a border die to give it that little scalloped edge. Here we are with another birthday layout. This was also one from a kit, and these layered balloons are super fun. They came already fringed. All I had to do was stick them together, and I love the visual texture that has. It has more of those little stars that are colored. They're clear acrylic colored with alcohol markers. And there's more of those little fringy balloons on this side. And there's also some vellum layered under here to give it a little bit more layers without any heaviness. These background pieces were already pre-printed like that, which is really nice. And just a really fun, bright birthday layout. Well, back to school looks a lot different these days, but this is 2019 before the world fell apart. And so did this cute little layout of my nieces with their back to school. There is a lot of wood embellishments on here. All of these pieces are wood. I love the look of them. It does bother me a little bit that they are quite so thick. I really appreciate that the new acrylic embellishments from Close to My Heart are half this thickness. The wood is still this thick, and I'm guessing because it might crack and like fall apart if it's too thin, but the acrylic ones are nice and thin and don't add quite so much dimension onto your pages. These are all little craft die cuts and stickers. These pages just have a really nice flow to them and those nice fall tones. So obviously we are getting into fall in my album. This collection, so pretty, perfect for showcasing those fall photos. These were actually designed as single pages. They will be going into my album together. You could use them individually or together. They both have this kind of quilted pattern to them, which ties them together. It's the same collection. You have the flower embellishments. The design just doesn't flow, from one page to the next. But I love how this turned out. This was already die cut with the stitching printed on there. And then I just stuck the pattern papers to this base page and then laid this over top is how that all worked. And then just all the die cut embellishments. It's one thing I love about the current Close to My Heart workshops is all these die cuts, they just punch out and you just stick them on. Whether you want to pop them up or you want to leave them flat is totally up to you. And then of course we have some of my favorites, the little glitter gems. They're shiny, plus they have looks like crushed glitter inside of them. Really pretty. And also some more pieces of wood veneer. Not too many, but just a few scattered around. This layout is using the same collection, but I have added some stamped and embossed leaves. So these leaves are gold embossed and die cut and just layered up over top of this page that was already designed. I just added the leaves as my own embellishments. And I just have that cluster there. It has some really nice shine to it. This was our Thanksgiving, showing our little Thanksgiving dinner. And this design is really fun. These were all pre-cut. You just punch them out and put them down. Okay, I think this is the last one with that collection. Hopefully, I think it's the last one. So we have more die cuts, more wood veneer, same with the gold glitter gems. I ended up just scrapbooking all my fall photos with this one collection. I did add some dimension on some of the flowers, so they are popped up. I love that there's this burlap pattern, so that's not real burlap, it's just the pattern paper. And just some nice outdoor photos, enjoying the changing leaves, all bundled up for fall. It definitely makes all these little clusters easy when all these are die cuts. I do a lot of clustering with florals where I cut them out of the Cricut, or I use dies to cut them. And this is definitely faster and easier, and I think it turned out great. Okay, one more birthday layout. This one has a little heart shaker in there. I added some ballerina glitter paper to this. I love how that shine really carries over throughout the whole layout. You just have these little bits of sparkle. It's a little girl's birthday, so you can never have too much sparkle. This one was actually colored with one of the tri-blend markers. The white glitter paper, ballerina glitter paper, all take the alcohol markers really easily actually. And it's a great way to get different colors of glitter paper. All right, we are getting into Christmas. So we're almost at the end. If you stuck with me this far, awesome. This layout has some mixed media additions to it. This is actually the Stickles glitter gel in Solar Flare. Beautiful stuff. It kind of has like a jelly consistency, so it has a clear base. And then it's just packed with glitter and little star sequins. Very pretty. And I was actually impressed by how much it didn't wrinkle my paper. I have a slight little buckling right here, which once I get that in my album won't be an issue, but everything else is pretty flat. I have a gold glitter die cut tree here. This was also from a workshop, so all these die cuts came included. And then this is fun with the diamonds that go across the background, pieced together with other pieces of pattern paper. And then for this one, I believe I have some more photos. So I did another Pocket Plus. It's one of my favorite things to do so that I could put in all of the family photos. I could fit in some more journaling. And that will go into my album just like that. Here is another Christmas layout. It's so fun having this large tree on here. That's a really nice focal point. And then we have a couple of photos just kind of tucked in beside that with the title. And then there's more gold die cut embellishments. Same with all these little stars and the little circle. All those were pre-die cut gold glitter paper. And then more stickers and die cuts. It's funny when I look back at this now, December 25th, there's 2 spots where it says the 25th. This was Christmas Eve, but that's all right. I'm pretty sure, yeah, it says Christmas Eve in my journaling. Whatever. Little details like that don't bother me. There is a little bit of stenciling in the background. I think this was maybe with almond ink. It's a very light brown and really subtle, but I like how it grounds the little clusters of embellishments. You can see it down here as well. So you get that triangle effect of the embellishments. All right, we have more of that glitter gel. This one does have the inking underneath with the almond ink and then the glitter gel over top, which just gives it a little bit more oomph considering this is a clear medium. And there's some snowflakes, lots of foiling happening on this one. The embellishments are glittered and foiled, so tons of shine for Christmas. Dad's attacking the turkey there apparently. And then the dogs are always begging away there for treats. And I do put the year on some of my layouts just because I don't put this into an album right away. I want to make sure it gets into the right place. Now I also have a Pocket Plus that is going in here with more photos, another little card that goes along with that. Christmas, there's always tons of photos to scrapbook, so it's nice to have extra real estate. And this is my final layout. This one is really fun. The background is on black ore paper, so you can see that beautiful shine. Oh, I love this paper. It's so beautiful to work with. And then this is actually a stencil design that I put texture paste through, and then I put gold embossing powder on top and let it dry. And then I melted it once the texture paste was dry, and you get this gorgeous, reflective, massive embellishment basically for my page. So I didn't use any pattern paper on this. These two were stamped and white embossed on the ore paper, that one and this one. And I think that looks really cool over the black background. And then all of these little berries and sprigs, those were also white embossed over the black background. And then all my poinsettias and my leaves are done from glitter paper. So there is a lot of shine on this layout. This was a scarlet and evergreen glitter papers. And then I had some nice big photos, everything tied in really well. I love this page. It's definitely fun to do some kind of mixed media techniques, but they're not super messy. They're still neat and contained. I have an exciting announcement for you guys. Until the end of March, the Creative Design Team's membership group is open for registration. You will receive lots of creative classes focused on techniques, fun challenges, printable handouts, and lots of tips and tricks to keep you inspired. Click the link in my description box so you can go over to the website and check it out. Well, that is it. Now I need to go and put these all in page protectors and into my album. I'm hoping it's all gonna fit in one album. We shall see. Might have to split it into two, but hopefully. I hope you got some inspiration from this as well. Maybe some layout ideas, maybe technique or medium ideas. And if you haven't checked out the Close to My Heart scrapbooking workshops, they're a lot of fun. They're actually pretty easy with all the die cuts and everything, and they give you really nice, fully embellished looking layouts. All right, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.